5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, it is the Ramble. I am Alex Bennett, and this goes on until midnight tonight, Eastern Daylight Time. We'll be getting to a citizens panel a little bit, but once a week we like to talk to this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, out to San Francisco we go. My hometown. I kind of miss it. I hear I won't if I went there. Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, you'd miss stepping on syringes and fecal matter. But yeah,
Is it getting that bad?
Oh, but apparently the entire West Coast from Seattle down to San Diego is that way. All the major cities have become
fecal centers,
homeless hell pots.
And
stay in New York. You're better off.
Yeah. How do you tell the human dog shit from the human shit from the dog shit? And I would say probably the answer is there's no dog shit because everybody has to pick it up.
Yeah.
You know what I don't understand, and that is, I had a whole big thing with Willie Brown once. I had him on the show, and I said, because I'd been in New York, and I saw a guy try to use a hotel bathroom, came in off the street, bum, okay? Absolute. You could tell he was a bum. But the way you can tell a real bum from a fake bum is if their shoes are in bad shape. They're a real bum. If their shoes are like really nice, forget it. Don't give them any money. They're just running a scam. But anyway, I saw the guy come in and he asked to use the bathroom. The guy who was at the front door said, "You can't use the bathroom. It's for customers only." And the guy left. And I went to myself, no wonder people pee in the streets. No wonder they shit in the streets. I mean, if they don't have a place to shit, where are you going to take a poop? You're going to use the streets, right? Mm-hmm. So I had Willie Brown on shortly after this incident happened in New York. And I said to him, really, we should do something about helping the homeless. And I said, one of the things we should do to help the homeless is to pass a law that they have to be, if you have a business, or you have a public business, you should be forced to allow anybody to use your bathrooms. And he kind of poo-pooed the idea, whatever. So what's her name? Who was my friend? Angela Alioto, who was on the city council. I then brought this up to her, and she thought it was a splendid idea. And she went to the city council, and she proposed this, and they passed a law saying that they didn't make it private businesses, but if it was a public place, like a lot of garages in San Francisco were public garages, and they had bathrooms, that these bathrooms had to be made available to the poor, to the homeless. And they passed the law. It's kind of Alex's law.
Your name should be on that.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to that law because they're pooping in the streets now.
Well, yeah.
But we got...
Yeah, well, most of them are drug addicts or they're mentally ill. They don't care. So that's the problem. They should be in institutions. But
I don't know. If I were mentally ill, I don't think I would just pull down my pants and shit in the street. I think there would be something in me that wasn't crazy that still said you don't pull your pants down in public and take a dump. Right?
Well, they're doing it, so...
So anyway, so San Francisco is full of human. How much is there? I mean, is it that bad? I mean, have you actually walked into it?
It's down in the Tenderloin mostly, and another part of the city. So I stay out of there, but I hear it's pretty awful.
The Tenderloin has always been a terrible area, hasn't it?
Yeah, always just poor and depressing and dirty.
And it really shouldn't be, because it's very close to all the big stores and everything like that. It's not like it's in a out of the way spot in town where
No, it's probably 2 blocks from Macy's and the Hilton down there.
Yeah, yeah. And it was called the Tenderloin, and that's where prostitutes plied their trade. And I guess the Tenderloin, even when I was a kid, had a bad reputation. And
I think it was when it was new. It was probably bad.
I mean, places get bad reputations, and there's no reason for them to get bad reputations and hold on to those reputations. I mean, Harlem for many years here was known as Drug City. I mean, it was a horrible place to live, and now it's a wonderful neighborhood. I mean, a lot of the flavor has gone out of it, but it is a wonderful neighborhood. So anyway.
So what would be like a horrible neighborhood in New York?
To me, any neighborhood in New York is horrible. I just have gotten so sick of New York. You know why? They cleaned it up too much. You know, there's something to be said for a city having a certain edge to it. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of like you feel like you're walking on the edge of a razor every now and then. And New York has gotten just too clean. I knew it was
more like Disney. It's more like Disneyland.
Yeah, yeah. I just realized one day when I came back to New York, this was many years ago, that it had changed when somebody bumped into me, and he looked at me and went, "Oh, sorry." And I went, "What the fuck has happened to this city?" Because usually the response would be, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. You're sorry? You know.
Well, that's what I knew. The first time I went back to New York, I thought, because I'd always heard it was such a brutal, rough city, and I thought it was much more refined than San Francisco.
Well, you want to know something?
Friendly.
You know something about New York that I do hate, and people are not. If you're listening to me, folks, and you're from New York, you don't realize this, and I don't think I've ever talked about this before. There are subways, and what you do, the rule is you go down the right side or up the right side of the subway. Get what I'm saying? Because there's a railing in the middle. Okay, you go down the right side, you go up the right side, which would then be the left side from the other. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People don't do that anymore. They don't give a shit which side they're going up or down. And so when it's rush hour, you can't get down the stairs or get up the stairs. I mean, it's terrible because they're taking up both sides. That's what pisses me off. Am I an old man? Is that making me an old?
Well, that would be annoying. It's pretty. It's just the same as the rules of the road, right, left.
Yeah, you kids use the right side of the the thing, right? So I just it's amazing. It's just amazing to me.
And the streets are so crowded there too with people, right?
Yeah, but nobody's. Yeah, well, no, actually, you know what's happened? Here's the other thing that bothers me. Oh boy, I really am sounding like an old fuck. They took Broadway and turned it into a mall. Okay? Times Square. Turned it into a mall. There's one lane for traffic. And the rest are people sitting in tables drinking their lattes. Now, I don't know if you've seen old movies in New York, but when you see Times Square, you see the hustling and bustling of cars going either way, right? You know,
thousands of taxis.
Thousands of taxis, right? No more. No. It's like one lane going through there, and the rest is like this mall. And you're going, Jesus fucking Christ. And then you go down there on a weekend. You can't walk. Because what they've done by making it into this giant mall is they've kind of made everybody want to go there. And it is so fucking crowded. So if you're a New Yorker and you're just there to do business, you can't do business anymore. So. All right, folks? The old codger has spoken.
Whose fault was that?
I'd say it started with Giuliani, and it worked its way up throughout the years to all the other mayors who have decided that they were going to make that. Really, what they've done is they've turned it into a tourist trap. That's what they've done, And now that we know where all the tourists are at one place, let's shoot them. Oh, wait a minute. That would make me a mass shooter. Oh, well, they're going to be knocked. Yes, who is it? Police.
Pre-dawn raid.
Well, you remember my big thing in San Francisco was how to keep the tourists away. Do you remember?
No, I think so.
I think this will jog your memory. My cure for keeping tourists out of San Francisco, because my feeling was tourists were ruining San Francisco, right? Because they come and you couldn't get. It used to be you would take the cable car, and you would go from Fisherman's Wharf to Market Street, right? You can't get on the cable cars anymore.
There's 5,000 tourists
trying to get on the cable cars. The clue is, if you want to get on the cable car, go about 6 streets up. And by then, most of those people will have gotten off the cable car because they don't want to go to Market Street. Right? But anyway, when I was a kid, that's the way I went to Market Street with my mother. We would hop on a cable car. When we lived on Telegraph Hill, we would go down to where the cable car was, and you could even hop on it while it was still moving. And we would hop on the cable car, and now you can't do that. You just can't do that. It's too crowded. So my feeling was, fuck the tourists. I don't like the tourists. Let's get rid of the tourism in this town. Everybody, when you see a tourist, spit on them. And after a while, San Francisco will get the reputation of, if you're a tourist, the people there will spit on you, and everybody will go to, like, L.A., all right, instead of San Francisco. Because I knew it was too beautiful a town to stay beautiful if this thing went on, and I was right. Look at it today. Look at some of the buildings they put up that obscure the beautiful hills of San Francisco. There was a time when you couldn't...
It's a bunch of shitty high-rises.
There was a time when you couldn't build a building taller than 20 stories in San Francisco. And part of the reason was they didn't want it obscuring the hills, okay? And secondly, it was because of the earthquakes. They didn't want them unless they were really earthquake-proof to exist, although you had a building recently in San Francisco, didn't you, that was starting to, I don't know, lean or something like that?
The Millennium Tower, yes. They've come up with $100 million fix. So
$100 million fix for the Millennium Tower. They put up, how tall is the Millennium Tower?
It's probably 40 stories.
Mm-hmm.
And it was leaning 18 inches, I think, which is a lot.
It was leaning, and it was leaning more inches every year, right?
Yeah.
Because
if you put a golf, somebody put a golf ball on his floor, and it just rolls to the other end of the room.
And the people,
it's that bad, yeah.
Do people buy apartments, or is that an office building?
They're condos, yeah.
They're condos.
A lot of famous people. I think Joe Montana has a place there.
Yeah, so he can play golf.
Yeah, and practice his putting game.
Wow.
So they were supposed to go down. They were supposed to put these piles down 240 feet, but they only went down 80 feet. So that was part of the problem. So now I have to redo that, and it's going to cost. I'm sure the taxpayers will get stuck with this somehow. But.
Yeah. So anyway, so you've got this city that once had this charm that is slowly losing its charm. I mean, imagine out where you live, which is the marina. It probably still has its charm, right? They haven't really fucked it up.
They haven't built
bad.
high rises here. Now they're loading up. Van Ness is pretty much nothing but anymore.
But what?
The marina still it's all high rises. They just put in.
Really?
Yeah, they tore down the. Remember the old Jack Tar Hotel?
Oh yes, right.
Which was pretty hideous.
Well,
they put up a
it
newer
was
building there.
It was the ugliest hotel that they ever put in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And they somehow they came along and they did some fixing to the decor outside to kind of make it better. Wasn't it multicolored at one time?
It was like blue and white and looked really crappy.
And everybody hated it. They wanted to burn it down, literally. I mean, San Franciscans for years were very particular about their city, and the Jack Tar Hotel, they said, was something that had to be designed in Oklahoma, and it was there. So they tore down the Jack Tar.
Tore down the Jack Tar and put up a big hospital.
Okay.
And now there's a bunch of high-rise apartments.
Van Ness was always a boulevard that had huge buildings, larger buildings than almost anywhere else in the city, concentrated. Mm-hmm. So, let me see here. Remember, it's now a movie theater, but they had a Don Lee Cadillac showroom there.
That's now a Tesla.
It's now Tesla? No, but didn't they change it into a movie complex as well, if I'm not mistaken?
There was a movie complex at, I think it was Post or Sutter, that had that glass kind of, had a really weird-looking place. That's been torn. That's now a CVS.
That's a CVS?
Yeah.
Where are people going to the movies now?
There are no theaters,
Yeah. Because that was pretty cool, actually. But the Don Lee Cadillac dealership is on the second floor. He housed the Don Lee Mutual Network.
Wow!
And my father used to work out of there doing a morning show called The Breakfast Gang, and they would Phil Bavaro and his orchestra. And that building was beautiful, and I don't know if it's still there, but I do seem to remember them turning it into a movie complex.
Oh, that was where the maybe it was before it had been in the 20s. It was like I think a Pierce Arrow dealership, and that's where
it became a Cadillac dealership, and it was very ornate.
Okay, well that's the famous picture of Fatty Arbuckle in front of there with his new car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you're right. They did put movies, a little theater in there.
Well, maybe not
but
a little theater.
I think that's gone.
I mean, they tore all that down?
They haven't torn it down, no, but I think the movies are out.
Because that architecture was so
wonderful. It's an amazing building, yeah.
It's an amazing building. Just an amazing building. But, then what was that eating place where they served buffalo stew even when buffalo were dying out?
That was across from the Jack Tar. That was it's still there. It's
it had a guy's name. Why can't I remember it now? My father used to take me all the time there. We never had the buffalo stew, by the way. Never.
I know what you mean. I can't remember it. Correct.
Yeah. It had a name. It had a guy's name. Something. Anyway. See how old I'm getting? I'm even forgetting that. But
you've got full-blown dementia now.
And my memories of North Beach when I was a kid, I mean, that was a purely Italian neighborhood where you'd go into a restaurant and they had like sawdust on the floor. You know? And you would get really good Italian food. This was the real deal. Everything in San Francisco, I imagine, is pretty much been sanitized, right?
Yes, tourists and techies.
I mean, we used to run our radio station out of a place called the Furniture Mart, and it is now what? Google?
That's Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah.
So, you got to figure that when you hit 79, almost 80 like I am, that everything in your life has changed. That nothing's like it was. I look out at the skyline of New York City and I see these pencil-thin buildings and I go, what an eyesore, New York used to have beautiful buildings like the Chrysler Building, which is still around, which was Art Deco, or the Empire State Building, which was kind of Art Deco. Inside, it's Art Deco. And now all of a sudden, you've got all these buildings going up. It's like they found a small bodega somewhere, and they said, let's build an apartment building on this footprint. And then they built this pencil-thin building. And they're huge. They're now building what they call the tallest apartment building in the world here. Can you imagine that? Something else for
how many stories?
How many stories? I don't know, to be honest with you. But it's tall enough that if some hijackers want to take a plane and do it again, they got a lot of choices now. It's like a bowling alley downtown. So, I mean, and what happens when you do this is you suck the flavor out of a city. Now, it's the flavor I'm used to. I imagine the kids growing up now, they'll wind up being my age eventually and going, remember those tall pencil-thin buildings? How wonderful they were, rather than those big fat ones they're making now.
Exactly.
And then... So, I think it's what you grow up with and what you're used to. And I always romance San Francisco because it was always the city that was better than L.A., And, in fact, it was so... better than L.A., that all the people from L.A., like the movie stars, used to come up, and it was their playground.
Yep.
And that's why Fatty Arbuckle had a party at the St. Francis Hotel. And by the way, they changed the room number on the room where the party took place. So to this day, you can't figure out where the party was.
Oh, really?
People don't know that thing. Fatty Arbuckle held a party in San Francisco, and a woman by the name of Virginia Rapé was supposedly raped by Fatty Arbuckle. And imagine having a name like Rapé, and then you claim you got raped. Actually, she was a prostitute, and she got really drunk, and she had an internal hemorrhage. And that's what killed her. Okay, but Fatty Arbuckle was blamed for it, and when they held the trial, they asked the doctor, well, how could she have hemorrhage from the inside like that, And they said, well, from the insertion of something like a Coca-Cola bottle. So from then on, the rumor always was that Fatty Arbuckle fucked this woman with a what do you call it, a Coca-Cola bottle. The truth of the matter was that Fatty Arbuckle wasn't even in San Francisco when this event took place. Wasn't even here. He was on his way coming to San Francisco. But nevertheless, He was put on trial, and there were 3 trials, 2 hung juries, and the 3rd trial, the jury found him not guilty. And the judge admonished the public and the press and everybody, said, this man has been wronged greatly and has been put through this, and I hope you'll let him get on with his life. And they let him go. Never worked again.
But he was ruined.
He was ruined. Well, I didn't
know. I didn't know it was that egregious. Wow.
Yeah, Shecky told me that he wasn't ruined, actually. That he went on to direct films. He used the name Will Be Good, and that was the rumor that he used the name Will Be Good, but he finally used the name Will Goodson or something like that. And he directed movies. He directed some, I think, with Buster Keaton. And when he went to MGM and Keaton couldn't direct his own films any longer, they wouldn't let him. But he eventually died, his wife said, of a broken heart. But he did have a career afterwards. Not unlike some people say that he was ruined forever, So.
But his acting career was over.
Oh, his acting career was over because he was maybe one of the most lovable comics in movies, and that image couldn't persist. Given
So he wasn't even here. That's unbelievable.
He wasn't even at the St. Francis Hotel. He was on his way up from Los Angeles. And somehow what happened was she got really drunk, and in order to sober her up, they put her in a bathtub full of ice, and that caused the hemorrhage. And then he was blamed for having fucked her, and then, of course, people in their minds see this big fat guy on top of this woman, and yes, of course, that beast would cause her, bladder or whatever to rupture. But she died as a result of being put in a tub full of ice. So there you go. There's the story of Fatty Arbuckle. You'll never think of him the same way again. And also the jokes should stop. Hey, time to go.
Well, that was interesting. I like that.
You like that? See, you love. That's why I love talking to you. Let me bring out all these old stories I know. Ladies and gentlemen, he's funny. He's laughable. Go see him whenever he's playing somewhere, doing his skits and sketches. His name is Larry Bubbles Brown. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Alex.
Still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And we really enjoy having Larry Bubbles Brown around here. It makes our life just a little bit better. It makes me feel good about myself. Okay? Anyway, let me see here. We are signing on to our Skype. We'll see if anybody's there tonight. Last night, a little slow. Come on, Skype. Come on. And I was just sitting there bouncing up and down. Don't tell me it's not going to work tonight. Oh, boy. Come on. It's taking its sweet time booting up here. Oh, there we go. Finally. And now I don't have anything up there in the, let me see here. Let me get this. No, I want this up here. There we go. And I've got to bring this thing down. No. Here we go. Hold on a second, folks. Wait a minute. I'm having some problems here. Just hold on while Alex attempts to do a thing here. There we go. All right. Now we're okay. It took a while. What happened earlier today is I don't know, the Con Ed is working on the building or something, and they something with the gas, okay, the gas meters, and they turned off all the electricity. I was sitting here, I was talking to Damien on the phone, and boom, all of a sudden we lose all our electricity here. So the electricity went out. I killed the machine here, and that takes the time for our thing to get going. So yeah. Anyway, it throws everything off. So sometimes when you're rebooting programs you were using, you just they just don't come up as easily as they did. Hello. There he is. There's Vernon Nunn. Hi, Vernon. Nice to see you. Here comes Charles Wallace. Charlie, let's see. Does he come in on one of our... he should come in... Well, let me see here. Is he there? No, I got to give him a place tonight, I guess. Put him in the number 2 spot. Oh, come on. Bennett, you're just fucking up like crazy. Here, Charles Wallace. His new apartment there in Texas. Hello, Charles. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Worn out.
You're worn out? It looks like you're getting stuff in there.
I got my desk put together in my bed.
Yeah, last night it didn't look like you had anything in that room, and now you look like you have stuff in that room.
Yeah.
And by the time you get it all taken care of, you're going to have to move again, right?
Oh, no, don't say that. I'm sick of moving.
You don't want to have to move. No. Let me see here. I need to, let me see here. I got to get Dan here, but sometimes if I go to somebody before their camera's up, it doesn't show up here. Here we go, Mr. Dan. Okay, there we go. Boom, there we go. Ah, you see, you got a whole bunch of people here already.
Here we go, Mr. Dan.
Wait a minute, what was that? Who's that?
Oh, you mentioned me again.
Huh? What?
I got mentioned twice because the echo had my name.
Yeah, you're a little on the loud side there, Dan.
It's the thing. I gotta get a new computer and set that up.
No, you don't. You don't really
soon.
have to get
That's
a
why
new
I
computer.
talk
You just
too
go
much.
into the thing, and it actually, I think, sets it up so that it doesn't. I don't know. Forget it.
I
Forget
don't
it.
know. I haven't really gotten into it.
It's the technology all the kids are using.
Kids today.
Well, now that you guys have had Skype, the new Skype for a while, what do you think of the new Skype? Well, that said it all, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Huh? What?
I haven't really noticed any difference.
You haven't noticed any difference?
No.
Yeah. What?
One thing that I've noticed is that, and this is just you on the air, it's that you have to take time to set us all up. You know what I mean?
Well, once I've got it all set up, once I've got you each in a little place and everything like that, the rest of it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
here comes Phil.
Before we just call in and get popped up, but I don't know. Maybe that's something else. I don't know.
So what I have to do for Phil is I have to go and look at Phil's name here, which is Scuba Diver. See, also part of the problem is if you're not a regular caller, I don't many times know the actual name you're using, and so I have to figure that out.
Another reason I need to call him.
Vernon Nunn's very difficult. It says Vernon Nunn. And Charlie's very difficult. It says Charles Wallace. Dan, you're very difficult. It says Mr. Dan. Now, here with Phil, it's Scuba Diver.
How difficult is that?
Well, now that I know it, but if I didn't know it, it would be a problem.
Not for me.
Not for you, but for me. Anyway.
Diver.
Anyway, how y'all doing tonight, everybody? Okay, that's another quiet answer we got here.
I already answered.
Huh?
It's
You got to be exhausted, Charlie. Moving is the worst thing you can possibly do.
Man.
Oh, man.
And you're not really moved in for 3 months. I mean, it takes you that long to get everything to where it should be. Yeah.
He's got all this shit in there already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got boxes all over.
You got
the
boxes
place.
everywhere. Yeah. What, you've
put all
never
my
moved,
bookcase
Phil? You've
together.
never gone through that misery?
Oh yeah, I've moved several times.
Yeah.
But usually I'm just one step ahead of the police, so I leave all that shit
No,
behind.
but what you could do, what you can do is you could hire somebody to unbox everything and put it places, but then they won't put it where you can find it.
Right.
Well, the last time I moved, when I moved from to the big house, what happened was I paid these guys by the hour. So they said, okay, well, we can move you for this much guaranteed or by the hour. So if you pay them by the hour, they move like they got poop in their pants. They're very, very slow.
Yeah.
So when I moved from the big house to this apartment, I hired the same company, but I got a price to a set price to do the move, and it was expensive, but they were fast. Every boom, 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 boom. They were driving 75 miles an hour. When they were driving from Danville to Oakland, when in the old house, the truck wasn't going over 40. And I'm saying to myself, how could these guys go any slower? They go any slower, they'd be going backwards. But that was because they were getting paid by the hour.
Well, the problem that I had when I moved in here is there was just so much stuff to move between her place, my place, and also she had stuff in storage. She had to put her stuff. Actually, she had, because she was renting to somebody, she had to put her stuff in. The movers had to hold on to her stuff in storage for a couple of weeks before they moved it in here. So she had to pay for that. it was a pretty expensive move all the way around. I mean,
What Charlie did, I think, is very smart. These pod things, if you have a I mean, you might not be able to do that in Harlem because you leave the pod on the street, it'll be like a 73 Buick left on the Bronx Expressway. There won't be anything left.
Actually, the Harlem is so different now that you probably could leave it on the street without any problem. But the problem is you'd have problems parking it.
Right.
And not getting a ticket. But I couldn't do that anyway because at my age, I don't want to have to move all that stuff up. I don't.
Well, you could pay a guy to put it in the pod.
I mean, no, but I'm sure he took everything. Charlie took everything out of the pod himself and brought it up to the apartment, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
And now every bone in your body is aching.
Yeah, I was having muscle cramps all night last night.
Really? See?
Well, I went to the Rolfer again. This is the second week in a row I didn't scream in pain. I'm actually getting to the point where my muscles are allowing the Rolfer's work to work. And Charlie, you may want to do that.
No, Rolfing is supposed to be painless, but he hates you.
he is a lefty. and we enjoy our conversations quite a bit.
That's getting you. Yeah, he's a lefty.
This is getting to sound way gay to me.
He's also a Buddhist, and so I guess everybody has pain when they do this, especially for the hour that they're doing it. The pain is over as soon as he's done.
Yeah.
But now that my muscles were so tight that they're finally at the point where they're elongated, they're stretched a good bit, and I don't
isn't
have
that a
anywhere
good thing
near.
to say? You're tight.
Yeah, very tight. Well, is that a comment because I'm Jewish? You pulling the J card?
No, I'm not pulling the J card. How you doing, Vernon? We haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks. What's been up with you?
Oh, I've been enjoying the circus on the television this week.
Oh, the show, the
all
circus.
the national security crap.
Oh,
going
that.
on
And,
impeachment. Yeah, I've been loving it.
What do you love about it?
The fact that Mr. Trump has finally gotten his hand caught in the cookie jar.
I think so. You're going to get a look from Phil, but
I'm not even going to give that any credibility, Vernon.
Well, you're giving it credibility by saying you're not going to give it any credibility.
It's just Trump derangement syndrome. And
you have names for all these little things. What it's called is we're sick and tired of the son of a bitch trying to take advantage of his position. But
you got blinders on when it comes to other administrations that did.
We don't care about other administrations. They're not in office any longer.
Wait a
minute. Hold on a second, Phil. Phil, let me talk. Phil, these were administrations that no longer exist. Now, you want to go back into, I don't know, the Ulysses S. Grant administration and how crooked that was. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
Phil, what we're dealing with is this man is president of the United States now, and he is using that position for, shall we say, not nice purposes. All right? Now, let me finish. Phil. The fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter. Biden could have been the biggest crook in the world, but he's gone. He's out of there, okay? He is no longer vice president, all right? Obama could have been a big crook, although he wasn't, but he could have been a big crook, and it doesn't matter. He was president. He's not now. We care about who's president now and how he is perverting that office to his own means. All right, so that's the point. Forget about it. Don't give me any more about this Biden bullshit. Plus, they had. Did you see the prosecutor from where do you call it? From the Ukraine? On TV tonight. No. He said Hunter. He was asked, did Hunter Biden do anything wrong? And he said no.
That's because he never got a chance.
No,
he
said no. He had a chance to find out. He was investigating that. He was then bumped from the job. But he said Hunter Biden wasn't doing anything wrong, at least under Ukrainian law. You know,
There are no laws in the Ukraine.
well, yes,
but
there are. Yes, there are, Phil.
Yes, there are.
Quit making.
It's a lawless
Quit
place.
quit trying to use that as an. Well, if it's lawless, then why are we doing business with them?
Hey, we do business with the Saudis.
Jesus, Phil, your excuses
Oh,
for stuff are just
we're
getting
going
really
to war.
lamer and lamer. Hold on a
I
second.
don't-
Let Dan talk. Yes, Dan.
You gave me 5 minutes.
We're going
of-
to war for the Saudis.
Huh?
We're talking about going to war for the Saudis.
For
The
the
same
Saudis.
ones who had half the hijackers were on 9/11 were
Yeah.
Saudis.
Yep.
What are you,
It
pulling the
wasn't
S
half,
card?
it was 3/4.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, for 5 minutes, Alex, you went on about it's President Trump's is the current president. Nothing else counted
I didn't go on for
beforehand.
5 minutes. I went on
Let
for
me finish.
a minute and a half. No, it's my fucking show, Phil.
Well, fuck you. I'm telling you.
Fuck me.
that-
Fuck you.
Fuck you. You got a perverted view of this thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't agree with one bit of what you said.
And you know
about
something?
that it's
I can go to
because
sleep.
it's-
I can go to
these
sleep.
guys are no longer there.
I can go better. I can go to sleep tonight feeling better because I did that to you.
No, these guys are crooks. They're crooks. Hillary, Biden, and the whole bunch.
And Trump
These
isn't.
guys
And
is-
Trump isn't.
Well, Trump is the only
No,
one going after
Trump
these pieces
isn't
of
a
shit
crook.
that will put
Trump
them-
isn't a
put
crook,
them in
Phil.
jail.
That Hillary
Trump
did that was illegal.
What'd you
One
say,
thing-
Bennett?
one
Wait a
thing
minute.
that
How about
Hillary
Wait a minute.
did
Hey,
was
hey,
illegal.
30,000
hey, Phil.
emails.
Let somebody else
You
talk.
don't know that those emails were illegal. They're just a bunch of crap on Fox News.
She bleach bitted them, and then she smashed her phones. If anybody is a crook, it's Hillary.
Hillary was investigated 9 times and nobody found anything.
Yeah, that's because it's a bunch. It's the swamp. Once you get Trump in there, Trump will make sure.
In typical Trump swamp, Bill, in typical Trump swamp, this investigator or this prosecutor who ended up getting fired over in Ukraine was fired because he wasn't doing enough investigating. And in typical Trump world, they're saying it's some kind of conspiracy that Joe Biden had him fired because he was investigating the company that his son was working for.
And
Well,
the point is, and the
He
point was,
fired
wait a minute. The
because he
point
wasn't doing
was,
his job.
the point was, Vernon, this prosecutor, and he was on TV tonight on NBC News with Engel. What's his name? Who's over there? Richard Engel. And he asked him directly. He said, "Did Hunter Biden do anything illegal in his, actions with this company?" He said, "No, he did nothing illegal."
They also
Phil, he said nothing illegal.
So you heard some guy that says he did nothing.
He
illegal.
was
He
the
didn't get due
prosecutor,
process.
Phil. He was the guy that Biden fired,
I
got
don't
fired.
care. I don't
according
care
to you.
if he was his.
You
his
should
fluffer.
care, Phil, because this is the guy you keep saying got fired because Biden's son was blah, blah, blah. And this guy says Biden's son wasn't doing anything.
Look. Also, this was
Wait a minute.
all
Let
put
Dan,
up
let
by
Dan talk.
Soros.
Let Dan
You
talk.
don't want to
He's
hear
got
the
some-
truth.
No,
The
I'm
truth
sick of.
is
No,
that
you're.
Soros
I'm
is
sick and
behind
tired of
this.
hearing your
Conspiracy
dribble
theory.
truth.
Hats on tonight.
Everything is Soros' fault because he donates to Democrats.
No, it's because he wants to take over and control. He got Alex fired. You love George Soros and his Media Matters people. Soros was wrapped up in this thing. Biden's son was wrapped up in this thing. Kerry's son was wrapped up in this, and so was Whitey Bulger's nephew. These guys are scumbags.
Wait a minute, Phil. So somebody is Whitey Bulger's nephew. What does that have to do with it?
He was a crook
What? Because he was his nephew?
and a murderer. No, Whitey Bulger.
No. Well, then, but was
These are the sons of sons of bitches. Between Kerry and
Jeez.
Biden, they were, and Biden's son's nothing more than a coke addict. And
Jeez.
these are the guys you're
Well,
protecting.
hat
We have no proof of that, Phil.
you have no
He
proof of
got
that,
fired
Phil.
from the Navy.
You have no proof of that, Phil.
Yeah, why did the Navy dismiss him?
I have no idea, Phil. Why don't you
Because
tell
he
me?
tested positive for cocaine.
Oh, I see. Where did you hear
And
that?
what source
Where'd you
did
hear
get
that,
from?
Phil?
It's in the news.
No,
Why don't
where
you-
did you? The news. I want to know your source.
Fox News.
I got it from Hillary Clinton. She called me up
Is,
and told
is,
me.
is there?
Yeah, right.
Wait a minute, Phil. Is there fake news out there?
Bullshit.
Is there fake
Yeah.
news out there?
No, it's true.
No,
This is
no.
true.
Oh, wait a minute. You're being very selective about the fake news.
No, this is true. Biden's son did get let go from the Navy for testing positive for cocaine. Fact check it. It's there.
So what?
Well, if I
That-
put
that-
in Hunter Biden Coke, what should I put in? Hunter
I don't
Biden.
care if
Hunter
he got
Biden.
taken out for
Biden.
cocaine.
I bet if I had
Whatever.
$100 bill in my wallet right now, it would test positive for cocaine. But I've never used cocaine in my life.
Yeah, but it's not in your body.
The only point is that a United States president called a foreign country
Oh,
to get
that's what he
information
does.
about his rival here, which means that he puts other countries' interests against America's interests. The same thing he did when
He's protecting you.
when he told
sunflowers.
Israel to
He's-
not let
He's
Ilan
protecting you
Omar.
little boys from the big bad Hunter. That's what he's doing, and the big bad Biden. Okay, you see the article?
I don't even know what.
I'm seeing an
Sure.
article in which
You're
Hunter
kind of off the
Biden,
fence
Hunter
tonight,
Biden
Bill.
admits to having all kinds of problems when he was younger. Yes,
Did he get thrown out of the Navy for testing positive for cocaine?
I haven't read. I can't find it here. Okay,
Should be on-
Easy.
maybe if I get
that
you
makes him
looking
a
for it,
crook for the rest
maybe
of
if
his
I
life,
get
right, Phil?
maybe if I get you looking for it, you'll shut up for 10 minutes.
Possibility.
Here he goes. He's going to go find it. He's going to
Okay,
go
I'll
find
look.
it. And then he's going to see one sentence, cocaine. See, it says cocaine here. Okay, yeah. Look, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about Hunter Biden. It doesn't matter about Joe Biden. This is not what the argument is. We're talking about the call that he made to the Ukraine,
Exactly.
you know, and the
Yeah.
and what?
Big deal. And there's nothing in that call that is impeachable, and there's nothing in that call. You know, Schiff was making shit up yesterday.
He's going to be
He
you
embellished.
can take this to the bank, Phil.
Phil,
He
what
is
at least
going.
could be
He
called
is going to be
crime.
impeached. He's with. They're with him. What about
There's-
5 votes now of getting him impeached?
These guys aren't going to vote for impeachment.
Yes, they
You
will.
got maybe 150.
Oh, by the way,
wackos.
who did you say? What Democrat did you say was against impeachment yesterday?
The guy from New
Tulsi
Jersey.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, Tulsi Gabbard.
Guess what she did today?
What's that?
She came out for impeachment.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, what do you
Well,
have to say
yesterday
about
she
that?
wasn't for
Yesterday, you were making a big deal about that.
Well, because yesterday that's what she said.
Okay, calm down, Phil. Give everybody else a chance to breathe here.
I do.
Just
I-
asking
No, you
for a
don't.
favor from the president of the Ukraine
Yeah.
is a federal crime.
Yeah,
Just asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
That's
against
the first
the
thing that
federal
came
law.
up. The first thing. Hunter Biden ousted from the Navy after drug test.
Okay, what's the
When
source?
was
What's the
this?
source?
And who cares
That's
anyway?
USA Today.
USA Today. Okay. All right.
Fractions.
All right.
ABC News.
Okay.
Vice President
But what
Biden's
does that
son
have to do?
discharged.
Listen, number one, what does that have to do with Joe Biden?
Do anything. It's all right.
You know.
A dog and put on
It-
the shoulder,
it-
right?
Joe Biden was
over
using
here,
his
look
office
over
to
here.
get his son out of trouble.
Look
What
over
trouble?
here.
No,
Don't
he
look
wasn't.
at them.
He wasn't
Don't
trying to
look
get him out of
back.
trouble because, according to the prosecutor that he had fired, they had nothing against Hunter Biden. He had done nothing wrong.
And he was dishonorably discharged from the Navy,
Okay,
according to
so-
Rand Paul.
This has nothing to do with
It
anything.
has nothing to do with anything, Phil.
You asked me, and you said
No,
you
you're
couldn't
the one
find
that brought it up.
conveniently.
You brought it up like it was a big fucking deal.
It is a big.
No, it's not
fucking
a big
deal.
fucking deal. What are you
Vernon,
doing? What are you
if
doing,
it shoots
Vernon?
onto the screen, it's not going to be very
Okay,
nice.
okay. Vernon, do you have a comment? And shut up, Phil. Vernon? Is Vernon there? Oh, there he is.
He's there. He was in the middle
here.
of
Oh,
backing off.
yeah.
I've got a bad Wi-Fi connection for some reason down here in the basement.
Yeah, well, it's good enough. Anyway, do you have a comment? You were doing something with your hand.
Yeah, this is all distraction, just like Charlie was saying. All this stuff that you're hearing coming out of Phil's mouth, it's all distraction that's being spewed on Fox News and on Newsmax, trying to distract from what Trump actually admitted that he did.
It's a distraction what they're doing in the Congress.
Phil.
Oh, they're doing their job, Phil.
You don't have to
Doing
answer.
their
They're
job.
not doing their job. That's the
job.
That's
You're a fucking cop. You know, if somebody sits there and admits their crime, you're gonna arrest them. You're not gonna say, "Oh, that's no
He
big
didn't
deal."
admit to a crime.
He admitted to the
you're-
crime.
You
He
guys are
admitted-
delusional.
Asking the guy for favor.
What
He admitted
happened?
asking him for a favor, and that is against federal law. That is a crime.
What happened, Charlie? You go across state lines and you got wacko? You know, he didn't do it. He didn't ask for a
He
favor.
admitted
Did
he
you
did
read?
it.
Did
No,
you
you
read
can't
the
read the
memo?
You
transcript.
got to do a favor
Not
first.
ask for a favor.
Do me a favor first. He
Listen,
actually said it in
look
his
at the transcript, Bill.
he released.
Yeah, I
Right
heard
after
the transcript
Zelensky
being
said
read
something
on
about the
C-SPAN.
Javelin missiles that he needed for defense of his country, right after he said that, Trump said, I need you to do me a favor in his typical Godfather fashion.
Well, then it was a misconstrued statement, and he had no time. Was it a quid pro quo?
It doesn't have to
Doesn't
be a
have to have a
quid
quid
pro
pro
quo. Just
quo.
ask.
You're
National
you're
security
quoting.
matter.
You know what you're doing, Phil? You are not even talking with your own mouth. You're quoting Trump with that quid pro quo stuff.
Yeah. It was for Biden.
Biden has nothing to do with this, Phil. He is no longer anything. He's not in politics. He has no control over anything. We're talking about somebody who is in office, who's the president of the United States, who committed a fucking crime.
Well, let's see what happens. He gets due process. And, you know, I was listening to a conversation about Al Franken saying that he was denied due process and he quit because of the pressure that was put on him. You know, in this country, whether you commies like it or not, we get due process. And a person is innocent until proven guilty.
Well, it isn't the way you've
what
talked
an
about
impeachment
things.
is.
No,
They're gonna
an
prove him guilty.
an
He's
impeachment
already
is
proved
nothing
himself
more
guilty.
than a grand jury of the House making a judgment and then sending it to the Senate, and you're not guilty until and removed until the Senate does
Nobody
it.
said you weren't.
Wow, I can't find
Bree?
Bree. Yeah, this is weird.
I
Okay.
see him on Skype.
I know he's on Skype, but I
That's gonna take him
can't
a
find
minute.
his. I think I have it. There we go.
Oh, you found it? Okay.
Yeah, I found him. It took
Bree,
a while.
what's your Skype name?
But I found him.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bree looks like he's in Charlie's apartment.
Yeah.
What is that? It kind of looks like you're living in a hostel at the present time.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I just moved in. I just got my bed yesterday night.
Yeah.
And I now, for the first time since I've arrived, I have time to go through boxes and figure out what's in where and what needs to go where and basically organize everything.
Now he
I
lives
can't
in.
put things on the wall.
You're in Kuala Lumpur, right?
Right.
Are
correct,
you
yeah.
living in the country or are you living in the city?
It would be the equivalent of sort of maybe Westchester to New York.
Okay, so you got a lot of foliage there.
He
Well,
showed us the house. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
You
I
did.
can tell you again. Yeah, why not? Let me just. This might cause a little noise, so let me mute it while I take it out of its holder.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I just got my bed put together this afternoon.
Yeah. And I now finally have internet, But anyway, this is my neighborhood, and all the houses look kind of the same. So if you can see those,
it's very nice.
that's what mine looks like.
They all look very much alike, like they just had the same plan and just kept making it over and over and over again.
Yeah. Like
Do you see
Ryan
those
Cohn.
high rises?
Yeah.
Is that the city, basically, or you're not that far out,
Yeah.
or
Oh, that's not.
Yeah, I don't know quite. Maybe Westchester's a little bit too far out. Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. It's more like, Monroeville is to Pittsburgh. I don't know if you know that one.
Yeah. Let me see.
But,
here.
so it's outskirts. We're not directly in the city. I have to take a train.
looks very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm just, trying to go through the boxes and get things organized.
Yeah.
Uh,
Parquet floors.
Yeah, they're a little beat up. We have some issues with the landlord. One of the doors, wouldn't open last night. You can see the door handle here. This one's okay, but it's like this. But this area here got stuck, and it wouldn't open or close. Now, fortunately, there was a second way out of that room. But otherwise, it would be tough if there were an emergency, because you can see that we have the bars on the windows.
Is that due to the humidity? You couldn't open it?
No, due to it being old. And downstairs, I have a bathroom there. The toilet does not have a shutoff valve. It's just a pipe that comes from the wall into the toilet. So if the toilet were to leak, I can't shut it off because there's no.
You got to shut the water off outside.
Right. So it's what I could do is put a bunch of towels, get a wrench, open it up, and put in a valve. But that's what I want the landlord to do. But it's been slow going. So.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's there we are, folks. Kuala Lumpur, ladies and gentlemen, on a nickel. Listen, I got something here. Here's something we can have a little fun with. There's a thing that the New York Times has every week. It's their news quiz. So let's see how smart you guys are. All right. Okay. The first one's very easy. Okay, Mr. Trump. Nobody calls him President Trump. They just call him Trump. Mr.
That's the
Trump.
New York Times.
Huh?
Other places to call him president.
Other places, yeah, find one. By the way, do you notice Fox is turning on Trump?
No, I didn't notice.
Yeah, they're starting to say that his administration has not been forthcoming in this whole situation.
I hadn't seen that.
Yes, well, they've turned on him. So, it's like when your wife decides to leave you. Anyway, the first question is, Mr. Trump made a request during a phone call with the leader of which country?
Uganda.
Yes, we'll give it to Bree.
Ukraine.
That's
Becky
correct.
Stan.
Becky
I like
Stan.
Uganda.
Okay, here's a good question. A sweeping new report from the United Nations detailed the threats posed by climate change to which ecosystem? Deserts, oceans, rainforests,
Atlantic.
or prairies?
Did it say coral reefs?
Say all of the above.
Or oceans?
Yes, Bree, what do you say?
Oceans.
Oceans? Let me see here. You are correct, sir.
Yay!
All right.
You win.
Okay. See, it turns green here.
It's 100 GabNet bucks.
Okay.
Because the oceans are able to absorb a certain amount of the heat,
Yeah.
but they themselves are now heating up.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is one of the dilemmas that we'll have. So the ice caps will continue melting in order to balance that out, but eventually the ice caps will go.
Okay.
So that's where we're at.
Okay.
What about the volcanoes under the ice caps? Isn't that causing the issue?
There
There's
aren't
not
any
that many
volcanoes.
volcanoes under ice
Yeah,
caps.
there's volcanoes under the ice caps.
Yeah.
Well, if there's volcanoes under the ice caps, they wouldn't have. Whatever.
Active.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah, so that will make the situation worse.
Lady Hale is the leader of which British institution? The House of Lords, the Labour Party, Oxford University, or the Supreme Court?
Don't know.
Don't know that one.
I'm saying House of
Supreme
Lords
Court.
because, huh? Are you saying?
Supreme Court.
Okay, let's go and see if it is Supreme Court.
It's in the
You're
news.
absolutely right. Vernon,
Yeah.
Vernon
I
gets,
don't remember what the story was, but
Vernon gets the point. Lady Hale is the president of Britain's Supreme Court, which ruled on Tuesday that Prime Minister Boris Johnson had acted unlawfully when he suspended Parliament. An unrepentant Mr. Johnson returned to reconvene Parliament on Wednesday and doubled down on his hardline Brexit approach. Okay.
He also said he lied to the Queen.
Did he really? How do you lie to the
Yeah.
Queen? You tell her that's a nice dress. Let me see here. More than 2,000 wildfires, many set deliberately to clear land for palm oil plantations, are burning through rainforests in which country? Indonesia,
Brazil.
New Zealand.
Brazil.
No.
I can show it to you out my window.
Can I give you the answers first? Indonesia,
show it to you out the window.
New Zealand, the Philippines, or Sri Lanka? I'll bet Bree knows the answer to this.
I have the mask right here that I have to wear to walk to work most days.
Uh-huh.
So I know it's Indonesia.
Okay, let's see. You're absolutely right. Are
Wow.
you?
Of course.
Is-
I thought the rainforest was in Brazil that was burning.
We're not talking. It didn't ask about that. It asked more than 2,000 wildfires. Many said deliberately to clear land for palm oil plantations are burning through the rainforest in which country?
Oh, palm oil.
It's not for palm oil in Brazil.
Yeah.
We call it the haze.
That's true.
And it gets up to about 170 on the AQI PSI scale, and sometimes they close the schools. The schools have been closed for about 2 weeks. It's nice today because the winds are blowing the other way. But this was a huge problem in Singapore in 2013. They thought they'd gotten a handle on it, but I came back and the haze is back.
Well, it says here the fires in Indonesia, an annual phenomenon as new land is open for planting, have caused respiratory problems for nearly 1 million people and Bree. Okay?
Yes.
By Wednesday, the
mask.
rain had reduced the number of hot spots to fewer than 1,800, down from more than 3,300 2 days earlier. Okay? All right, here's question number 5. Are you ready? The world's oldest travel company went out of business, leaving hundreds of thousands of travel. You haven't heard the choices yet, Phil.
I know the choice.
So now you can't answer the question.
Thomas Cook.
No, that is not the choice. Will you let me now ask the question? The world's oldest travel company went out of business, leaving hundreds of thousands of travelers scrambling to find a way home. It also set in motion what is described as the biggest peacetime repatriation in the history of the country where the company was founded. Is
England.
that Britain, France, Italy, or the U.S.? You can't answer, Phil, because you tried to answer without knowing the
Well,
so you
Britain.
already responded, Thomas Cook. That's not a country.
But that was the company.
Bree's got his hand up again. Is Bree going to get the point?
Of course, it's Britain.
Okay. see?
all right.
All right.
Hey,
Okay.
this is a ripoff. There's no buttons to press.
It's rigged against it.
Yeah,
Rigged.
there's
did.
no
Completely
button.
rigged.
There's no nothing. This
There's
is a ripoff.
You didn't
You're
obey
the
the
know
rule.
nothing.
It's a particularly bad week to be a chief executive as 3 of the following companies lost their leader. Which one did not?
Ooh.
Oh, eBay, Jewel, Uber, or WeWork? I know the answer to this one.
Uber. I'll say Uber because I would have heard about that. I
This
think.
week,
Yeah.
because the Uber guy got tossed last year, so
Yeah.
probably it was Uber is the one that didn't.
I'm
lose.
saying it's eBay. Because I know Jewel, the guy was.
I said Uber first, so just so you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you didn't press the button.
Okay, well, let's see. I say it's eBay. Let's see if I'm right. No, I'm wrong, actually. Let me, now I have to redo this so that I can, let me see here.
Yeah, I don't know what WeWork is, but I saw this.
Okay, I would say
Uber.
then, I would say then that it was probably Uber, and that would be the right answer. Who said Uber?
I did, and so did Dan.
I said it first.
Wednesday-
I've seen WeWork in the news.
Mm-hmm. On Wednesday, the chief executive of eBay, Devin Wang, stepped down, citing differences with the company's recently revamped board. On the same day, Juul replaced its chief executive, Kevin Burns, I love his documentaries, with a veteran of big tobacco as the e-cigarette company faces a federal criminal inquiry and bans on some products and numerous investigations in its marketing. And on Tuesday, Adam Newman, the co-founder of WeWork, was forced out of the co-working company, decided last week to delay its initial public offering. So that's that. Okay, next question. Europe's highest court limited the scope of a law that protects which right? Okay, I'll say that again. Europe's highest court limited the scope of law that protects which right? To be forgotten, to bear arms, to education, to freedom of expression.
Freedom of expression, I would say.
Freedom of expression, yeah.
Yeah, you're wrong, Phil.
No. I am too then.
Well, then they they have the right to work? What is it?
No. It's to be forgotten, to bear arms, to education, to freedom of expression. We just eliminated freedom of expression. So you got three choices.
Bear arms?
Nope.
Nah, I don't know the answer.
Education.
To be forgotten.
Right to be forgotten.
To be
The
forgotten.
European Court of Justice ruling on Tuesday limited the reach of the landmark online privacy law known as the right to be forgotten, restricting people's ability to control what information is available about them on the internet. In the
Really?
decision, with broad implications for the regulation of the internet, the court ruled that the privacy rule cannot be applied outside the European Union. Okay?
Another reason to get out of the European Union.
In the second largest donation ever to an American university, a $750 million gift to study climate change will go to what school? The California Institute of Technology, Harvard, Princeton, or Stanford?
I don't know. Probably Hard Knocks.
I'm saying Harvard. Okay, it's just a guess.
California.
I'm
Huh?
gonna go with Stanford.
What?
I'll go with Stanford.
Okay, well, we'll hit the button on
I'll
Stanford.
go with
That's
the
wrong.
Columbia School of Broadcasting.
Stanford's wrong. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm saying, and somebody, another guess? Somebody else?
What else is left?
Whatever the California thing
Princeton
was.
was my second.
California Institute of Technology? Right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Boy.
Caltech.
Mr. Dan gets the point. Jacques Chirac.
Oh, I win, Alex.
What?
Oh,
Alex
dead.
This
What do I win?
is a hard one. I don't know the answer to this one. Jacques Chirac, who served as France's president
Yes.
from 1995 to 2007, died Thursday at the age of 86. Before becoming president, Mr. Chirac was the longtime mayor of which city? Bordeaux, Lyon, Marseille, or Paris?
I don't know. I think it was Paris.
I'm thinking that's awfully obvious.
I'll
Yeah,
go
well, I
with
think that's-
I
Lyon.
think it's Lyon.
I'll go with
You think?
Lyon.
Okay, let's go hit Lyon here. Nope, that's wrong. It's not Lyon. You want me to try Paris?
Sure.
Bordeaux.
Okay. Yes, it was Paris.
Yeah, that's what I
Huh.
think. Yeah, you all are losers.
He was the mayor of the highly visible mayor of Paris for 18 years. Yeah. Yep.
I thought he was a stripper.
You thought he was a stripper?
Rudy Giuliani.
I thought he dove under
Rudy
the ocean
Giuliani's
to
a stripper,
explore
too.
marine life.
18 years. He also served as prime minister. As president of France, he was a vocal advocate of, let's see here, a vocal advocate of the European Union and took a stand against the U.S.-led war in Iraq. He's largely remembered for warmly in France, though he was convicted in 2011 of embezzlement and misusing public funds during his tenure running the capital.
Wow.
But he died, as you know.
That's too bad.
Okay,
Autumn, the Pink Panther.
let's see here. We have two more questions left. All of you have time to redeem yourself. Singer Placido Domingo has been accused of sexual harassment by 20 women and abruptly withdrew from a production of Verdi's Macbeth the day before it
Guilty.
opened. The opera is currently being performed by which company? The Metropolitan Opera, the Royal Opera,
Walmart.
the San Francisco Opera, or Teatro alla Scala?
I
Royal.
don't know. It was probably
I think
La
the
Scala.
last one, whatever it is. I'll
The
pick that.
Royal. I'm going with the Royal.
I believe I'm going to go with Metropolitan Opera. Let's see if it is the Metropolitan Opera. Bingo, I was correct. I know the story because it was a big story here in New York. And the final question of the night. Here is time for you all to redeem yourselves, if you haven't already. HBO's Game of Thrones made TV history at the Emmy Awards on Sunday, winning the Best Drama Series and tying the record for the most wins in what category? Most wins in that category, excuse me. The award for Best Comedy went to which series? And this is something I have just finished binge watching. Is it Barry, Fleabag, The Good Place, or Veep?
Probably Barry.
I would vote for The Good
There's
Place.
a lot of buzz around Barry right now, so I'm guessing Barry.
I've never seen
Loved The
any
Good
of them.
Place. Loved
The
it.
only one I've heard of is The
You
Good
saw
Place.
which one did you see? The Good Place? Did you say?
I love The Good Place.
Yeah. Well, I know what it is, and I just binge
Because
watched
you have
it.
an Emmy in comedy, right?
Yeah, something like that. It was Fleabag, which, if you haven't seen it, is terrific. It is
I never
just
heard that
terrific.
show.
Huh?
Yeah.
Are they talking about Charlie's new apartment again?
No. And by the way, it's funny in the show. They never say her name, but she is simply listed as Fleabag, and it's a great show. It's 2 seasons, 6 episodes each season. Each episode is 25 minutes. You're in and out. Nobody gets hurt.
Netflix?
Yeah, it's
What's
really
that?
it's really
A
great.
vaping thing?
Hmm?
What's Bree playing? Was that a vaping thing?
No.
What is that? It's a
USB hub.
USB hub,
Yeah, it's a charger.
but it's not a 3.0 hub. That's a 2.0 hub, right?
He's got something that goes out. It's a charging thing. He said.
Yeah. This one, if you're on the go and you got to take it with you.
Oh, I
Pretty
see.
cool.
That's cool.
I've never used it, but it's good to have it.
Yeah. How close are you now? Both of you guys, you and Charlie, have moved into a place. Okay, so my question is, which one has got? When did you start moving in, Bree?
August 15th.
August 15th. So Bree moved in August 15th, and you just
Yeah.
getting around to getting all this stuff.
He couldn't move in right away, right? Didn't
Well,
Didn't you have to
no,
stay in a hostel or something?
Yes, I
until...
stayed in a hostel for 2 weeks and then came here on August 15th. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have that much time. There's the position that I came into did not have someone for a full year. So can you imagine? It was all backing up. So I've literally been spending every minute just trying to get everything under control.
Bree, if you knew that they didn't have somebody for a year, you could have gotten a lot more money for the position.
Bree,
They waited for me.
you got a problem
So-
there though. Is that you have to leave after a year, right?
2 years.
That's right.
No,
Yeah,
after a
according
year.
to the Malaysian government. Now, everyone here tells me, "Oh, of course you'll get renewed," but I don't know. The funny thing is, I have to pay deposits on things, and that in case I pull out early from the contract. Well, I tell them, I tell everybody, I know exactly how long I'll be here, so I can tell you right now. I'm not absconding. I'm being kicked out by the government on this day.
Well, my suggestion to you is that you move in really fast, because you don't know how long you're going to be able to be there.
Yeah, if I could go back in time, but what would I do? If I sent my stuff to a storage container, I'd just be paying a storage container,
Right.
A storage place. Might as
Right.
well just put it here, and I can go through it slowly.
Take the chance.
Try to get rid of stuff, sell stuff.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you actually move stuff there that now you're going to get rid of?
I moved a lot of stuff here. I got rid of stuff. I sold stuff. I donated stuff, maybe about 20%. But then I had to buy stuff once I got here. Like I have a new bed, but I wanted a new bed, So it was like the time to make that switch.
When I moved I had a 20-day close, and so we had a what do you call it, a garage sale. And it was raining really hard the day of the garage sale. The news actually showed up. There was so much rain, and they stopped and saw the sale, and they put it on the news. But I was giving shit away that normally I would have been upset if there wasn't even a scratch on it. And I was just giving it away because I had to get rid of it. I was going from 4,000 feet to 1,000 feet.
I know exactly how that feels, Phil.
Yeah.
Exactly how it feels.
Now, how far are you, Bree, from being finished moving in? Now, you say you started moving in August 15th, which is almost a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
So are you almost completely moved in now?
I'd say 90%.
Yeah, okay.
But the other thing is, this is an old house, Alex, and every time that I would have a minute like to unpack, something would go wrong. I had to fix it. And the other thing is, I was dying to do some gardening, so I planted a lot of flowers, and I had to cut the yard. So I did sort of the yard work before I did the unpacking stuff.
Is that an air raid siren?
Yeah, I'm wondering. Well, I was thinking the same thing. What is the?
No, that's a light.
My ceiling fan. It does make me look like I'm a holy being.
Sainted guy.
Yeah, you're Saint Dan.
I'm Christ.
And his creepy van.
Yeah.
But
hey, Phil just mentioned that the creepy van thing. Who still has those recordings? Do you have those?
Alex has them.
What was that? Was it you that we were talking about having the creepy van?
Yeah, I think when I did my podcast.
Oh, right.
I did my lame little podcast. I tried to do that.
Yeah.
And then because Uncle Dan is the name I go by, so
I like those podcasts.
No, but what were we? That was so long ago. I forget what the whole bit was. But we were giving you a bad time for having a creepy van, right?
Yeah, and it was even a Twitter account that wound up getting thousands of followers.
Didn't Jim Browning do that?
Yeah, we started
I think it was him. Yeah, it was Rebel Soak Jim. By the way, I know. Are you guys getting along now? I know there was kind of a falling out at the end.
I haven't talked to the guy since he stopped doing the show here.
Really?
Yeah. Is he off oxygen yet, or did?
Now ask me why he's no longer doing a show here.
I thought he was sick.
Why is he no longer doing a show here, Alex?
I have no fucking idea to this day.
Oh, we just kind of left?
All of a sudden, one day, I don't know, for some strange, unexplainable reason, he decided he hated me.
Do you want my take?
I didn't do anything.
Well,
Okay.
the guy hated me too, but do you want my take?
Yeah.
Okay. You made him the chief cook and bottle washer of Gabnet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You decided to put on a show, the stripper show, the sex show.
Yeah.
And I don't think he wanted that, and you put it on anyway, and I think that's why.
That was his excuse.
Well, it just
that was his excuse.
Pretty reasonable excuse.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a reasonable excuse because the show wasn't in any way heavily sexual. It couldn't be because it was on regular radio stations.
Yeah, I know that. But
he used that as an excuse. And I don't know why he went away, and it certainly didn't benefit him that much.
He was having some health problems too.
He got a radio
I
show.
thought he was having health problems is why he left.
Yeah. So
he had a radio show. I think he had one in Revelstoke, an actual radio station radio.
Yeah.
He had many moose were listening to his show.
Many mooses,
yes.
Mooses.
Well, that you got to admit that story time thing he did on Wednesday night, that was great. Groundbreaking stuff.
That was good radio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he did good stuff. I don't get it.
Shit happens. Shit happens.
Yeah, shit happens, and I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me.
Vernon's going to say.
I don't know. So, anyway, what were you going to say, Vernon? Yes, Vernon.
Well, as you can see, I moved to my ham shack just so I could see everybody's face with the Wi-Fi and my wife's tablet. I was only seeing one picture at a time, and it was always Phil.
Yeah.
So I decided to move. I decided to move into the ham shack where I've got the computer wired into the internet, and I can see everybody. But one thing I've noticed with the new Skype is that when I move my mouse, everybody's name pops up now on their pictures.
Yeah. If you're in a ham shack, that can't be very kosher.
Well, I'm not kosher.
You got a couple of us here.
Yeah.
So
I
how long have you been into doing ham radio? Seems like kind of thing I'd be
Since I was a sophomore in high school, and I'll be 71 in January.
Wow. Oh, so
and he'll be a senior pretty soon too.
Actually, I've got a lifetime membership in what they call the what do they call it? Oh shoot, the old timers. AARP is not the one. It's a quarter century wireless association. If you've been a licensed ham for 25 years, you can join the QCWA, which is a quarter century wireless association, and I've been a member of that since I was, I was 15 when I got my first license, so I was 40 years old when I was able to join QCWA.
I grew up in an area that was pretty rural.
QSL.
My call sign is actually, if you have the new Skype on there and you put your cursor over my name, it'll actually show my call sign in parentheses.
Oh, okay. I'm KBDH2954.
You guys say it again?
KBDH2954.
That's a CB handle.
That's CB, yeah. Hey, I had some friends when I was, before I drove, and they were ham operators. And living in a fairly rural area, the ham radio going over there and listening to what they were doing, it gave me the opportunity to connect with people all over the world. And I thought that was, a pretty interesting thing. I remember the call signs of my two friends, and I don't know if you can look them up, but one was WA2AAD, and the other one was WA2VQW. And
let me pull that up on a website.
WA2AAD might have been Larry Lazar.
Let me add this window here.
I could get a bigger audience for Gabnet by broadcasting it over the shortwave.
40 meters or something.
No, you can't do that. That's illegal.
Yeah.
What was the call sign again, Phil? What was the call sign?
WA2AAD.
Look at Bree. Hold on a second. I got it.
Everybody
be quiet. Bree, say something.
I found no results, Phil.
Could you look up Larry Lazar? Maybe it's a reverse.
The next few weeks.
Let me look it up by name.
Yeah, Larry or Lawrence Lazar.
Well, this is boring.
Lazar.
I think so.
You don't have to bring the show to a screeching halt there, Phil.
Hey, I've been learning from you.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Now, hold on a second. Be quiet and let's see. Say something, Bree.
I'll be in a few different countries over the next few weeks, so I'll see which ones I can, drop in with you on. But next week, you will hopefully be very envious of my location.
Really? What are we going to?
Yeah.
WA2VQW.
Can we?
WA2
Phil, we don't
VQW.
care, Phil. It's really boring.
Well, so is the show.
Now that one comes up with Michael.
You won't have to put up with
that's
this show very much longer, Phil. So don't worry about it.
He's in Yonkers now. Used to be in Continental Village.
Says Yorktown Heights.
Yorktown. That's it. Yorktown. Yeah. Yonkers.
Are you finished, Phil?
Yeah, almost.
Oh boy! Now you see why I'm bringing the show to a close. Because I can't control it anymore. Boy. Okay. Anyway.
I don't want us to, go into technical talk, Alex, but I do have a dilemma you might know the answer to.
What is the dilemma?
Okay, so I have a computer, and I got internet here, but I can't do Ethernet because the fiber connector was in a different location. So I have a PCIe card that was getting 2.4 gigahertz, but it was very slow. So I bought one that has 5 gigahertz. It's the same speed. And I thought getting the 5 gigahertz meant that the card would go faster. So I don't understand, 2.4 and 5G, if they're just different bands, or my 5G goes faster when I use it on my iPad.
Well,
they're just different bands.
What's this 5G1 and 5G2? No, it's not 5.
Well, wait a minute. Vernon had an
5
answer to this
gigahertz
question. Wait, hold on a
5G
second.
are different things.
Hold on a second. Vernon had an answer to this question. Vernon?
In terms of Wi-Fi, those are just two different bands. It's 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz, just two different bands.
And the 5 gigahertz is a faster throughput.
Maybe.
It
depends on your supplier.
Well, in my case, I have a thing that's 5G, and it is much faster. It's closer to the high-speed internet that I have than just a Wi-Fi signal, normal Wi-Fi signal.
So why, if I bought a 5G we should say 5 gigahertz, because 5G gets confused with the cell phone stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
The 5G HZ.
Yeah.
Why? If I bought that card, why is it not faster?
Well,
why is it the same speed?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
What's your input?
Your internet provider.
Yeah.
It says open network
I have
preferences.
regular, and when I tune in to my internet provider, I can get 2.4 or 5.
Right.
So the 2.4 is always slow. What the 5 is fast when I have a device that can connect.
Here's
to 5G.
where I can find it.
You also got to be closer to it, to the 5, on the wireless. Are you hardwired?
I have what's called.
No, because here's the thing.
Well, can't I
have
say
my
anything?
iPad right next to my computer, and my iPad is 5G, and it's going fast. I have the adapter card for my desktop. It's 5G. It's going slow. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Alex had
maybe the processor. Maybe the processor.
Alex had an answer to it.
No, I don't anymore.
No, because I bought a 5G USB, plugged it into the desktop, and it's fast. But I don't want to take up that USB slot. I've got the card. I can't figure it out. I think maybe I bought it from China for $10. I think
there you go.
Yeah, what you pay for.
All right. I get complaints from people about too much tech talk.
Okay.
You know.
It's interesting, and a lot more interesting than Trump talk.
Hey, nobody talked about that.
Trump
says you.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
guess that's a plus or
talking
minus.
about.
I don't know.
Whether
Extra Trump, you decide.
in,
You
this
bet-
impeachment
you brought
is
them
not
up.
going anywhere. Why does the media go nutso over this? And it's a big goose egg. Nothing will happen, folks.
Right on, brothers and sisters. Power to the people.
I don't know. I mean, it's starting to gain a little traction this week.
Yeah,
It's pretty, but it's But those senators and Mitch McConnell, they could watch video of Trump having sex with an infant and they wouldn't bat an eye. That's how morally depraved they are.
They would pay for
don't
it.
care
That's
what-
not really a baby. It's fake news.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd come up with an excuse even for that.
Yep.
And Lindsey Graham would be jealous, probably. But that's another story.
Did you hear
Only if
Lindsey
it was a
Graham,
boy baby.
called,
Yeah.
Mitt Romney it was Rudy Giuliani said that Mitt Romney was jealous. That's why he came out against
Yeah.
Trump.
Hey, did you hear?
True.
Very honorable.
What do you mean it's true?
I-
Phil, you say it's true, and you don't know that it's true.
Yeah, well, Mitt Romney couldn't win. Trump won.
Yeah, but
the
you know
presidency.
when it's true.
Mitt
It's
Romney
true.
was a
It's
quitter.
absolutely true. You accept anything that comes out of the mouths of those assholes as being absolute, unempirical truth.
thing
You
is,
know.
you're bad about because Romney didn't fight back or McCain didn't fight back.
Romney and
Fighting back?
McCain
I
both
think they're
quit.
upset that lady at the McCain rally that McCain shut her down because she said Trump was an Arab. I think that's what
Not
it is.
Trump. She said
Or
Barack
Obama
Obama was a
And
Muslim.
McCain was a nice, level-headed guy and shut that
Well, that's
down.
true. And he
And-
should have. But he
Yeah.
also gave up a month before the election. He just gave up, and so did Mitt Romney.
Well,
No,
Sarah Palin didn't give up. She
McCain
was
gave
on-
up because the economy was going in the toilet.
Yeah.
That's why McCain gave up.
So why didn't Barack Obama give up because of the economy?
Because it wasn't his fault. It was the
No,
other party's
It
fault.
wasn't
Republican
McCain's fault.
president, And
McCain's a
his
quitter.
Party.
It was the
It was his
Republicans'
part.
fault, Phil, and the Republican candidate is going to have to live with
Yeah.
that.
But
Yeah,
let's
he
talk
can't-
about
Yeah, he can't shake that. The
but let's
party.
talk about
I
what
don't
this
think it
is
matters.
right now. And what this is right now is it's just a gift for the news cycle.
Right.
It's just a gift for the news cycle. There. Okay.
This is. I have to disagree with you, Bree. I would agree with you. I would agree with you, and I would have agreed with you a couple of weeks ago. But things seem to be taking a turn. More of the Congress is now getting very close towards a vote for impeachment. So it takes it away from being just a useless exercise into something which is probably going to happen. Now, whether it has any benefits, I really don't know. I mean, I think that there is a recall available to us of Donald Trump, and that recall is in the form of a thing happening in about a year called an election.
Right.
Okay, and that I think the Democrats would be better to concentrate on that and being able to make their own case on why they could handle this country better than running a campaign
against what they're doing. They can eat and chew gum at the same time.
Who, the Congress?
They never were in the past.
But you see, ultimately, it doesn't matter because impeachment will not pass. So anything you do is just for the benefit of the media. It's just a story you can.
No, impeachment will pass, but he will not be convicted and removed from office because the Senate won't vote 2/3.
But everybody will clearly see what a criminal Trump is, and all those Republicans that don't vote for him will be voted
in the history books. It will be recorded in history books for all time now.
The Congress is not going to get. What do they need? 212. They're not going to get it. 218. 218. They ain't going to get it.
There's 130 Democrats.
It doesn't matter. They're not going to all vote for it. There's too many that are vulnerable in Trump districts. Districts that they won that lean red, there's no way that those guys, or all of them, are going. And there's 30 of them. There's no way that they're going to.
Wait a minute, Phil. Let me click my record here. I want to record this for posterity. Where
well,
you say
it's recorded. You don't have to. Alex has every show recorded.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Alex, we're gonna throw this in
Phil's face when it happens.
Yeah, I have rightly predicted a lot of stuff over the last 5 years, including the Trump's presidency. I'm telling you that this is not going to. If it goes to a vote, which I don't think it will, they're not going to get enough people to vote for impeachment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't.
Are you recording this? Are you recording this, Vernon?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Alex.
Be sure you have it on.
Okay.
If I'm doing a show at that time, we can play it back for him.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
So my prediction is, they will not only not have a vote, but if they did have a vote, they wouldn't get 218.
I think you're good.
Well, they're not going to have a vote because Trump is going to resign.
No, he's not.
No,
He's not a quitter like Nixon.
Bullshit.
If he, Phil, I got news for you. If he saw that there was a good chance that he was going to be thrown out of office, I think he just might quit rather than go through that, because he can't take that kind of thing on his historical record.
He doesn't care.
What are you talking about? He doesn't quit. He's had 6 fucking bankruptcies. What do you think that is?
Different.
That's quitting.
That's legal. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's quitting. It's still quitting, Phil.
He's still quitting.
Hey, what is he going to do? Write bad checks? You know, give him poker chips.
Everybody's looking for money from Trump because he doesn't pay anybody.
Yeah. So well, he'll pay him with Gabnet bucks.
They're holding rallies. They're waiting for their money. They're not getting it.
Pay him with Trump University bucks.
Because he's a snake.
That made money.
He's a scam artist.
Yeah. Well, Phil has all the answers because he went to Trump University.
Yeah, well, Phil, while you're making predictions, I'm going to make a prediction. Trump's going to lose the election. Trump's going to lose the election in 2020, and they're going to go after him with a RICO suit and take everything he owns.
Well, I think you dream it, because if they put up any of those losers that they've got on the stage now for the Democratic Party, there is no way that any of those losers are going to unseat Trump.
Every one of them.
I will agree with that.
Top 5. Any of the top 5 right now would unseat him.
Well, So the number one guy is going to be probably quitting in the next few weeks because of this this issue. As the stuff from the Ukraine.
Well, I will make a prediction. I will make a prediction, Phil, that no more. Let me say this, okay? That no more. That you're completely wrong about that. In that nothing's going to come of this whole flap about Biden. I think Biden will quit eventually because maybe he sees there isn't a path to winning the nomination, but it's not going to be over that whole Ukraine thing because that happened several years ago, and he's not.
2018.
He finished what? 2018.
Well, in 2018 is when he did the interview.
But he never had any power. Phil, he didn't have power past 2016. Okay.
Right.
All right. So shut up.
Shut up. Talked about it in 2018.
No, it doesn't matter, Phil. I'm telling you, he's not in power.
Why are we talking about this in 2000?
He won't be in power again.
Phil, you use this so you don't have to talk about the fact that a man who currently has the job of President of the United States did something that was wholly illegal and that he's being held to account for. He's president right now. He has power right. Shut up, Phil. He has power right now. Oh, yeah. Give me the jerk off.
And luckily he does, because with that power is what he's going to use to get rid of the swamp like people like Biden.
He hasn't gotten rid of any swamp.
He's deepened it.
Well, you'll see Biden will quit the race. And you know why?
Why are you people so frightened of Biden?
You know why Obama
Why are you so frightened of
Biden?
Why are you frightened of Biden? Answer me that question, Phil.
Biden.
Yes, you are. Obviously you are, because he don't mean shit to a tree right now.
Yes, it does. You know what Obama said to Biden? He says, you don't have to do this.
Obama isn't president anymore. Biden isn't vice president anymore. Trump is president right now.
Yeah,
and
that's going after those guys.
Why? Doesn't he have better things to do than that?
Yeah,
why is he doing that? Why is he trying to besmirch Biden? Because he considers Biden the biggest threat to his presidency of any of the candidates.
He's just the first one in a long list of bums that he's going after.
Oh, and what's he going to do with Elizabeth Warren?
We'll see. Elizabeth Warren, he can just keep playing that interview that where she said, "Well, I'm an American Indian. My mama told me."
He didn't. She never said she was an Indian. She said she had Indian in her ancestry.
Yeah, but she
never
put
claimed
down
to be a full-blooded.
When she does have to begin with. It's not called Indian, Phil. It's called Native American. And she didn't say that. She said there was a little bit of it in her past, and it turns out, yes, she does have a little bit.
For that.
And she apologized. She apologized for it. Something that Trump is incapable of doing. Apologizing. Yes, Bree. Bree has his hand up.
I like Trump.
Me too.
Because I'll tell you why. Because he is really good for the media, and I love how he stirs up these conversations and discussions about what is legal, what is not, what is right, what is not. Most of the time,
and those 26 people that died in his concentration camps, it doesn't matter at all.
And 12 died of vaping.
No, it matters. It matters. But I don't think that one guy is responsible for all that. I think we hold him responsible for that. But he doesn't.
That is his plan and his plan alone. We mean without him, that wouldn't be. Those concentration camps wouldn't be there.
I don't know if you're right or if you're wrong on that. But
there are people concentrated together in a camp.
They're detainees.
Oh well, then so are the Jews.
Yeah, Jews are just detainees at Auschwitz.
Oh no! If you were to ask Hitler what they were simply detainees. They weren't called. They didn't call the places concentration camps.
Yeah. They were work camps.
They were work camps. They were work camps. And in fact, the sign out in front of Auschwitz basically translated from the German, Phil, don't even try to start talking when I'm trying to talk, okay? You know? I mean, you're always interrupting lately again, Phil, and I asked you not to do this. Right. You know?
Can't help yourself.
The slogan in the front of Auschwitz was, "Work will make you free."
Arbeit macht frei.
You know what?
Arbeit macht frei.
And what does that mean? Work will make you free, right?
Work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Work.
So those were work camps, Phil. Those weren't concentration camps. Just like where those kids died weren't concentration camps. They were detention centers.
Run for profit.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the question I would ask.
Yeah.
Has the United States set up similar facilities, and in those facilities have people died? The answer is yes. And so to say that Trump invented this, it's not there.
I didn't say he invented it, but he's responsible for what's happening now.
And I would imagine that he gets on the phone and he tells those people, don't let this happen. I don't think that he sits in the White House and says that he's happy.
I'm sorry, that's not anything that Trump would ever say.
No,
Trump doesn't give a shit about anybody but Trump.
Yeah, he doesn't have any interest in doing that.
He doesn't give a shit how many of them dies. Thousands could die. He wouldn't. Look what happened in Puerto Rico. He didn't give a shit about that.
Well, I don't know the degree to, what he feels and what he does and what he can do and what others around him can do. I'm not sure. I'm not willing to just sort of hold him accountable for all the ills that befall our country. I don't think that's the purview of one individual. And I think that I give him.
Bree, I have to disagree with you. I'm going to tell you why I disagree with you. I disagree with you because, it's like Truman had on his desk a sign that said the buck stops here. And the buck stops there because the president is responsible for it all. And whether it's his fault or not, he has to take responsibility for things under his watch. At least a good president does that. This president doesn't, because Roy Cohn, a fucking asshole, taught him years ago, never admit to mistakes. And so he won't admit to a mistake. Rather than say, hey, this was an error in judgment. I think I should reverse myself on this. He is incapable of that. He's also incapable of compassion. You never see compassion come out of this man, or empathy come out of this man.
That's the word.
He doesn't even follow the tried and true rule that I've talked about if you can't be sincere, at least fake it. He can't even fake sincerity. It's amazing.
He's consistent.
Wait, what?
He's consistent. He's consistent.
He's consistent in his unwillingness to admit that even he is capable of mistakes. Almost every other president, even the ones we hated, at one time or another said, well, maybe I was a little wrong about that, and I've decided otherwise.
Right.
This guy is incapable
in the age
of that.
Social media, as soon as you give an inch, they're going to take a yard,
Yeah.
So I think that he has moments where he thinks about those things. I just don't think we're privy to them. And I think there's a frame. There's a frame in the media.
I don't care what he thinks, what he does.
Let me ask Vernon something. Vernon, do you have your what do you call it? Your Morse code thing with you? Okay. Just tell us in Morse code what you think of the current administration. Okay, a lot of people out there who are into Morse code just got a good laugh. Right? What did you say, Vernon?
I said, fuck it. At 30 words a minute.
At 30 words a minute. That's very
good.
Do
30 words a minute.
Okay, I must admit I'm a little fascinated by this whole ham radio thing. Do people still use Morse code? Because you still have.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, here's the thing: when the crap hits the fan, the most efficient way to communicate is with Morse code, because it doesn't require as much energy for the signal to go across the country or anything like that as it does for a voice signal. The voice signal requires more energy for that, and then you got to, everybody's voice is different, so listening when the signal's really weak and understanding what somebody is saying when the signal's really weak is difficult. With Morse code, it's much more simple.
So, like when the apocalypse comes, then you'll be the hero.
He'll be the one that will let everybody know. Yes, Bree.
Yeah.
Bree?
Hey, Vernon, have you heard of these things in the astrobiology field called fast radio bursts, the FRBs? Do you think that could be Morse code among planets?
I don't know. I haven't really studied that. I haven't looked into that.
Because I'm very curious about it. I think that a lot of those astronomers, they don't have anybody from the ham radio field in their midst. And I think that might benefit them. If you could take a look at some of these stories, maybe FRBs are Morse code among planets.
Here's something that most people don't listen to. Most people don't think about it in terms of that. But the information being sent across the internet, where we're connecting and everything, it's done in packets. It's done in digital bursts of information across the internet. That's how cell phones work too. Cell phones send digitized information over a tower where multiple users can use them at the same time because it's all multiplexed. But that's a form of code. Morse code is just the simplest type of communication code that was ever invented.
By the way, we've been joined by Ray Renati.
Hello.
Hello, Ray.
I thought certain frequencies did not allow, only allowed Morse code.
That's true. On the ham radio bands, that's true, yes.
Yeah. And what is it, 20 and 40 or 80? Which band?
Every shortwave band, there's a segment of the band for the ham radio where only Morse code is allowed.
Yeah.
And it's usually the bottom 25 or the bottom 50 kilohertz.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's what I thought. But is it only allowed because that's the agreement, or is it only allowed because that's what works on that frequency?
It's allowed by international agreement.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. That's a whole lot of equipment you've got back there. It's interesting. Yes, Ray.
Hi, I just been listening to since 7, riding my bike. Very, very lively show, I must say.
Well, it gets that way occasionally. Yeah. And
hey, we got a blow-up doll down there in the corner.
Who are you talking about?
Bree's camera. It's just like a blow-up.
No, that's
doll.
not. That's not
it's a Buddha.
It's not.
Oh, sorry, shit. I'm going to hell. Can you go to hell for that? Oh, no, they don't have hell in food.
Well, supposedly,
that is just a statue from Thailand of a.
Oh, it's small. It looked huge. It looks bigger than you.
Well, he's going on a trip next week, and he's not telling us where he's going, but he's going to surprise us. I guess we're going to make us guess.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, when I'm there, I'll show you the video, and you can guess.
Akron, Ohio.
What was
I'm going to be able to do that several times over the next 2 months. So.
Are you going to go to? Not that you're giving it away. Are you eventually going to go to Hong Kong when they have all this shit going on there? Or?
That may or may not be one of the places on the agenda for the next 2 months.
I see.
And is this as part of your job, going to these places?
Half and half. Yeah, when I get invited to give a talk, and then I try to get a day or two on either side as a mini vacation.
Yeah. But you a while back did that where you took the camera out and then you showed us a city and you said, "Where am I?" And I think I got it right. It was Singapore.
Kuala
Lumpur, or where was it?
Yeah, you didn't get it.
Yeah, I recognized the building that he was pointing at. I recognized that from the movie Entrapment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I thought that was in Singapore, though. I guess not.
No.
Oh, that's
Kuala Lumpur.
What's the name of that building? It's got a
Petronas Towers, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful building. Where did I see the question today? And I got it right because of you, Bree. It said, I was doing a crossword puzzle, and it says the world's tallest building is in this country or whatever for the crossword puzzle, and I wrote right in Dubai. Because
UAE.
The Burj Khalifa is the tallest building in the world, isn't it?
It is for right now. It won't be next year.
Yeah.
Why won't it be?
Something else is coming up soon.
What will be?
There's two.
Is there something else?
Saudi Arabia and UAE are kind of competing to have the highest.
Really? Well, I'll tell you, I have a.
Saudi's going to build one, and then UAE has another one planned.
With my Apple TV, I have a screensaver of the Burj Khalifa and Dubai that is just gorgeous. There's one at night and there's one during the day, and what an amazing edifice that is. It's got lights going on and off all up and down it so planes don't hit it.
My current screensaver for my laptop is Dubai, the marina. But for my desktop, it's a picture I took in this country.
Really?
Yeah, do you know where this is?
I don't know. I would have said Greece.
Italy.
It looks like Greece to me.
Yes,
Italy.
that's Parthenon.
In Greece, yeah.
Acropolis.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I've been to the Parthenon. It was singularly the hottest place I've ever been in my life.
Hot?
Because it was a really hot day, and I was up there on the hill with the Parthenon, and I felt like I was a piece of bacon on a griddle. It was that hot.
Alex, I was exactly the same, and I had my baseball cap, but I didn't have any sunscreen. I met two girls from South Korea.
Yeah.
I recognized that they were speaking Korean, and I really like Blackpink and Twice, and so we talked about that. She had sunblock in her purse, and she put it on me all over. And it turns out, when we got to the top, she joined with three others. They were all stewardesses for Qatar Airways.
Yeah.
And I got a beautiful picture with the five of them at the Parthenon, and it's one of my favorite photos.
Well, I was there.
They saved me.
I was there. I'm trying to remember when I was there, but it was like about in 1997, maybe earlier than that, actually. And they were working on the Parthenon. And they're still working on the Parthenon. I mean, they're never going to get finished trying to fix that thing.
It's great.
But certainly one of the...
Is Phil gone?
Huh?
Is Phil gone? I think so.
Is Phil
gone?
Oh,
he must be. I don't...
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Scared him off.
No, I don't think we scared him off. I think he just probably lost his signal or something.
Okay. Yeah, I think...
The one fact that I remember... that talking with the Burj Khalifa, the one fact that I thought was fascinating was that Muslims during Ramadan, if you're on the top floor of the Burj Khalifa, you have to not eat for like 2 minutes longer because the sun is still not down. That's crazy.
That sucks.
Well, then I guess you don't go to the top of the Burj Khalifa then for that reason, especially if you're hungry.
I don't know. Or
if you're really hungry, you got to make sure.
If you're really hungry, you got to go downstairs.
I don't know what happened.
That takes over 2 minutes. So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true.
You get Lebanon dates.
Phil was talking about something a couple of minutes ago, and then all of a sudden he froze up and disappeared. So I guess we lost it.
Yeah, then he figured there wasn't enough time left to come back in.
Yeah, probably. Hey, listen, that's it for tonight. See you all next week, hopefully, if I feel like it. Vernon, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Phil, you're frozen, but yes, the battery backup. Oh, he had a problem, I guess. Yeah, I had my electricity go out today too, so I know the problem you can have. So, but thank you, Phil, even though you're frozen there. I want to thank you, Charlie. Great talking to you from your newly minted place in Texas, in Austin, Texas. From the wonderful Kuala Lumpur, it's Bree and the musical stylings of Bree and his blow-up godlike doll. And Dan, call more often. We love having you here. And Ray, call us earlier, okay, so we can hear more from you. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Why don't all of you give us a big wave goodbye, and we'll wave back at you, okay? There they go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh boy, I didn't do a what we call a dissolve, okay? I did a cut. but that's the way it is. Anyway, let me hang up on these people here and get the Skype ready for the next guy, who is Jack Bishop. And his program is, of course, known affectionately as The Intersection. He'll be here taking your calls. I'll be here probably next Tuesday, I would imagine. I don't know. I'm taking it a day at a time. In the meantime, next is Jack, and then I will be here after Damian Chaplin on Tuesday with The Ramble, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice weekend.